welcome to the Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode 57, the longest running Stadia podcast this side of Google Maps. You're joining myself, Chris, the creative director of Sounds of Stadia.
My name's Tom. I'm also listed as a creative director of Sounds of Stadia.
I'm Richie, and I'm also the creative director at Sounds of Stadia.
Who'd have knew it? But you are joining us this week for episode 57. If you are new to the show, we aren't all creative directors. In fact, we're not in any way, shape or form creative directors. We're just three friends who love talking about Stadia, and that's what we are here for. If you are new to the show, we bring you all these Stadia and gaming news wrapped up and condensed into an hour or so digital package where we talk about all things in gaming. Give us a like down below if you haven't done us already, and subscribe to the channel so you are kept in the loop with all the exciting things we do here at Sounds of Stadia. But more importantly, we've got loads of stuff to talk about because it was a good stuff week, it was a bad stuff week, it was a mixed thing. We've had a very interesting week, and we're going to be getting into all that. So just to give you a brief overview of the show this week, we do have all the good stuff. We're going to break it down, talk about the games, talk about the demos, and everything else that pretty much happened in the world of Stadia. We're going to be talking about some changes with Ubisoft and some of their upcoming titles, hopefully bringing a bit of cohesion across the board, across all platforms, and paving the way for a cross-platform future. Some sales and offer for Stadia, and certain tweets that may have went out this week that may have disrupted or undone all of said good stuff that we spoke about. So a quick shout out to a few bits of housekeeping we've got before we delve into all that juicy good stuff. Right off the bat, Monster Boy Part 17 is available now. It went up this Saturday. I've spoke with Tom. He's informed me that I'm nearing the end now. After 17 weeks, 18 weeks, I think it's going to be. We're probably going to be pushing 20 before we wrap up. I had a good week this week, Tom. I'm feeling good about it.
It was.
There's 2 decent
You remembered
weeks.
to save it this time.
Well, actually, funny you should say that. I actually did start, I think, it may be this week or next week, having not saved it, but thankfully it was already at a pivotal point where I didn't have a boss fight or anything to do. So, and I noticed in the episode again, I retread my steps a little bit, and I was thinking, did I miss that again? But yeah, it's because as soon as I stop recording, it's just kind of like, oh, there's the episode done. But go check that out. We also did a little bit of a community thing this week. Tom, do you want to fill us in on what we were doing with our Patreons?
We did, absolutely.
Yesterday?
So we hosted our first Patreon games evening. So for anybody out there who doesn't know about it, essentially we are going to be doing, to begin with, we're running a few nights this sort of like coming week. But we're planning on doing a monthly event where we get all of our patrons involved and we play some games on Stadia, because we don't really get the opportunity to sit down with people and actually just play as a community. And we really want to sort of build up on the community element of Stadia a little bit more. So we thought we'd open it up last night and have a bit of a retro games night. The retro games night very quickly turned from Pac-Man dominance by everybody who was involved. We basically just killed the game. We were winning just left, right, and centre, over to Dead by Daylight, because we thought we'd have, a little bit of fun, mixing it up, killers, survivors, and it was a real blast. So thank you very much for the Patreons for joining in with that last night. And if you are interested, you can certainly head over to patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, where you can sign up to our lowest tier from as little as $1, which I am now correct in saying that it is actually also the equivalent, because Patreon have changed their terms. It is now actually also £1 plus VAT for the lowest tier as well.
That's true.
But yeah, get in it, and we'll be playing some games very, very soon.
More games to come, yeah, because that is a big part. We do the podcast, we talk to everyone across Twitter and everything, but again, it's finding the time to. It's so hard as an adult to find the time to just play games. It's so frustrating, but we will get there. And speaking of playing games as well, if you are following the channel, again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, and that's more so that you are kept in the loop with all of our upcoming things, because next Saturday, is Halloween. It's been a spooky month so far. Is that a thing that everyone has to do when we say Halloween?
Yeah, sure is.
Speaking of which, though, we're going to do a Sounds of Stadia Hallow stream in some way, shape or form, every time. So if you are into horror games, we're going to be looking at putting together some stuff with you, the community, with some Let's Plays, some streams, some content across the board as well. So there are a couple of horror-based games available on Stadia that we'll probably get into. I, for one, am really keen on doing a Little Nightmares stream. I think that game is only around 5 or so hours long, roughly from what I've seen anyway. So it's one that's been on my radar for quite some time. So what better way to play than Halloween with you lovely people in the community and with the chat. So keep it locked to the channel. We're going to be doing that. We're probably going to be doing some Dead by Daylight, no doubt. And I'm sure there's a few other spooky things we can throw in there Because Pac-Man has ghosts. I think. Oh, we won't have Pac-Man.
True
we
that.
won't have Pac-Man.
Yeah.
anymore, which we'll be
We'll get to
getting
that
to.
later.
We'll be getting to that same. But yeah, keep it locked to the channel for our Sounds of Stadia Hallow stream next Saturday, the 31st of October, All Hallows Eve. I was thinking the other day about All Hallows Eve as well. Is the day after Halloween technically not Halloween then, if it's All Hallows Eve? Like Christmas Eve is the day before Christmas.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So,
I mean, I
so
guess
does
by
nobody
definition,
celebrate
right?
what technically should be Halloween? Everyone
The
celebrates
1st of November.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know enough about Halloween to actually make a judgment on that.
Let
but
us
it's
know.
worth looking into.
Let us know, especially our American audience, because you guys go
Yeah.
crazy for Halloween for the most part. Let us know. Do you celebrate All Hallows Eve, or do you celebrate the day after, which, by the definition of Eve, should be it's all a thing.
It's the Night of the Dead, so I think it is meant to just be the evening.
Just the evening. Well, I suppose Eve could be evening. Yeah, maybe.
Although nowadays it's basically the whole of October. Let's be fair.
I mean, certainly. It's the month of October. Brilliant. So keep it checked out for that. And we needed to say massive shout out as well to our Patreons. Tom briefly mentioned it there, but we've got some new Patreons this week, this month as well. We've got GamerGuildTV. Thanks for dropping your support there. It's massively appreciated. And we've got the one JP as well, the Jurassic Park himself. Straight from Dinosaur County. He's joining us as well. So massive thank you. And as Tom mentioned, patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia. You can give us some more support. It helps us grow the channel. Helps us bring you more content that you like to see. You'll love to see it, gentlemen. You'll love to see it.
Absolutely.
This community is amazing. And if you want to keep in tabs with us and you don't quite want to stretch to that point, don't worry. We're still here on free feeds. You can check us out and you can keep locked to us on things like Facebook. We've got a Facebook channel where we post everything. We've got a Discord channel where we're trying to get the chat up in there tenfold. We want people to engage with each other and chat and talk and play games and all things Stadia as well. In a great positive manner as well. There will be no place for disruption and rudeness and other things in there, like the internet loves to throw at us. But gentlemen, that's all I have for housekeeping this week on episode 57. Let's get into the thick of it, Tom, with...
Ooh, okay, right. The super sexy special Stadia Stories spooky segment, aka The Booze!
Oh, no. Right, I'm out. Sorry.
I should say at that point right there that I am talking about news, not alcohol.
The news. Oh, yeah, booze.
The news.
Maybe next week. Maybe next week.
Who knows?
That's
We'll
a
see.
poor show one, that. Your favourite drink.
Yeah, bring your favourite drink. I've just thought I'd like some... So I've had gingerbread rum recently.
Okay.
They did that for Christmas with Captain Morgan's. And they've done they did like a tiki rum for summer. I'd love to see kind of like a pumpkin spiced rum.
It's got to exist.
I mean, it's a thing in the coffee world that
Yeah.
they go crazy for this time of year. So, pumpkin spice.
I'm sure they
rum.
do. I'm sure it exists somewhere.
As someone who doesn't
Yep.
really like coffee that much, I don't really get in on all this every year. Like it's not really an option for me. They don't do pumpkin spiced energy drink. Or
I've
rum,
only
so.
ever had one pumpkin spice latte, and that was this year.
And what did you
really?
think? What did you think?
It's quite good, yeah. I mean, I think it's one of them. If it wasn't seasonal, people wouldn't care as much. It's a very good coffee, but
Interesting.
I think it's good marketing, really. It's like, we're bringing this out for Halloween, although apparently they're not. Apparently it's gone.
Already, yeah. I did read somewhere they've already pulled it. But either way, that's marketing for you, Richie. That's how marketing works. And speaking of marketing, we've had a busy week in Stadia marketing. Some for better, some for worse. We're going to delve into it now and break down all the days. So if you didn't stop by and join us for the 3-day good stuff, let's review it now, gentlemen. Let's talk about it now. We're detached from the event. We've had a bit of time to try out the demos, to digest, to turn off our Twitter accounts and get away from the shit show that was a certain individual's tweets.
Yep.
But we will be getting to those. First up, then, let's break down day one. One of the things I did want to kind of address as well is the state of how these videos have been delivered. So for day one, the video currently sits at 34. Well, at the time of recording, Sunday, sits at 34,000 views. So it's only 34k views for day one of the good stuff in terms of outreach across YouTube. And as far as I'm aware, Stadia don't put this out aside from Twitter anywhere else really. You've got Twitter, the blog post.
Pretty much.
Whatever.
Pretty
So
much.
Yeah.
for those who the uninitiated, I guess, the Sounds of Stadia. The Stadia event was a 3-day event. They ran over last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where they dropped a bunch of new game news, some updates, some reveals, and some demos. More importantly, and we got 3 demos. They kicked off day one with one game we've all been excited to talk about. We've all finished it, I believe, as well. Is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from EA and Respawn. We got a date locked in for that, which is really, really exciting. We've got the 24th of November, so we know when we're getting it. It's before the end of the year, and is this the first EA game?
Yeah, it officially will be. Yeah, unless anything else precedes it. Yeah. No
FIFA.
It's weird. We're meant to get 5 EA games this year. We only have the date for one. And we're very quickly running out of.
It's 5 weeks from the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did really focus on this. So what I did appreciate is that they used Star Wars to really showcase the multiple devices, which is immediately off the bat got me thinking that this event may be not focused towards the Stadia hardcore, because once again they're talking about multiple devices and they're trying to showcase one of the biggest titles of last year. Doing that, and if it was aimed at just Stadia people, we already know about that, right? We already do it on a.
Well, we already knew Jedi Fallen Order was coming as well, so the only real new information about Jedi Fallen Order was the release date.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. It definitely seems like the way that the leaning is towards a newer audience, but I'm really hoping it's not a mixed sort of like marketing campaign where they've sort of like got their wires crossed once again. But I have to say the marketing for that in particular, like the use of assets, the text, the imagery and everything was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was really, really well done. And it was very Stadia specific.
Yeah, what better way to get people hyped than Star Wars? And I think I mentioned it after our day one review, and it was like the fact that the play instantly and across multiple devices, it was in the Jedi Fallen Order font.
Yes,
it wasn't just a Stadia splash screen over the top of it, which means there is a good working marketing relationship with EA going on there for them to lend their assets in such close cohesion. So that was great to see. Where are we feeling on buying this game now? Because with it dropping mid-November, I feel like I'm going to be too overwhelmed to jump back into this world, unfortunately.
I'm going to go back and say what I've always said about this sort of thing. As a supporter of the platform and wanting to see the platform grow, I want to see more support from developers and publishers. So I'm still going to drop the money on Jedi Fallen Order. I'm definitely going to play it, so I'll probably pick it up as soon as it releases, but it will probably go on the back burner just because at that point, 5 days in, I'll be very much into Cyberpunk at that point right there.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to wait, but I still want to show my support.
Richie?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to buy it, but nothing's changed in my view there since it was first announced. Actually, even before when we were just speculating it. So it feels like almost a year we've been talking about this game as the potential coming to Stadia.
Yeah.
But I already have the game and I don't have the spare cash to just, even as much as I would like to support it, there's like titles like this coming from a big publisher like EA to the platform. I just can't justify that as a purchase for a game I already own.
Yeah. It's one of those where, yes, we do feel like we've been talking about for a while. I know I've been hitting the drum about this for a while. I do feel like if it had new content, it would have maybe pushed people who did have it before, give them that extra little nudge over the edge to buy it. Again, depending on the price, will probably be my decision. I don't have any intention to buy it early. Tom, if someone who's looking to support EA titles on Stadia, what would you want to throw around for a ballpark figure for price? They're going to go full out EA and go $69, like full on retail?
No, they can't do that. The game's been out for a while now. It'll be pushing a year plus a year, I think, at that point. Maybe just around about that.
Give or take a week, I think, by that.
Yeah. So I'd probably be looking around about the £40. I think I said before £40, maybe like $42.99, something like that would probably be the upper limit of what
I was just thinking about the same. Like the 40 to 45 seems like probably the right price bracket for a 1 year old game, AAA title. I'm expecting it to be 60.
If it is, that's going to be a real problem.
EA,
I could see
don't
EA
have
doing
a good reputation when it comes to good community decisions. Like FIFA tends to hold its price right up until the next one comes out, then it drops off the cliff. So things like that. I can see EA just going, people who have people have already played it. It's probably you can probably pick it up without checking, maybe at £40 on Amazon or something on like PlayStation or Xbox. So it's only Stadia people that they're targeting. So then to them, it's a AAA new title.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if the price has got any flexibility in terms of what it's currently available for in other stores. Because I don't think coming out and being £20 more than PlayStation and Xbox availability digitally will put them in any good stead. Because the argument is always, it's cheaper elsewhere.
You know what would be a really good move for them on this one? To bring it out on a pro sale.
Yeah.
That'd be really good for Stadia. Because he's a AAA title that's on sale. And especially if we've already talked today about how much other big titles are in and around that area. Then that's when somewhere like people might be going, I'm going to play, but it's €1 title. I'm in no rush to play. Oh, it's on sale, £30.
Yeah.
I should say while we're on this note, though, with Jedi Fallen Order, because of the type of game it is, it's also worth mentioning that within a matter of days, actually, like a couple of days later than this episode comes out, we've got Sekiro landing on Stadia as well. And we now know that Stadia is actually getting the Game of the Year edition day one, it is also due to drop this week. So we are getting the most up-to-date version of Sekiro. So it might be a good way of getting people who haven't played Jedi Fallen Order hyped for the game, because they do play very similarly. Granted, Sekiro's difficulty is probably like tiers above, but it's still that same sort of genre, that same sort of gameplay style.
Yeah. And again, we've all played the game. For anyone who's not picked it up, whatever the price is, it's worth a full price title. If you've not played this before and you've been batting around thinking about it, then yes, 100% the game is worth it. I believe it was my game of the year last year. I think it pipped Control to my personal one, because again, massive Star Wars fan, massive story linear game type fan as well. It was just mashing them two things together, and it ended up being a phenomenal game, which is why I've been clambering for more story DLC. They did add new game modes. We discussed it a good couple of weeks back. They added like arena battle modes and new game plus and new content customization for lightsabers and such. So if you haven't already, play it.
See, for me, I differ slightly on you. As much as I do like the game, at no point was I in love with it. I found the controls a bit. I don't know. I found the controls a bit not very responsive on PlayStation. So much of that game is built around the parry system, and I really struggle to get that down.
See, I don't really think I use the parry system much
in
my own gameplay.
Force powers and lightsaber hacks, I think.
Yeah.
That's a good offense. It's a good defense.
It's true. I would say, though, to anybody who is sitting on the fence about Jedi Fallen Order, who hasn't played it yet, and may not be the biggest fan of Star Wars in general, just the storytelling alone with this game is incredible. And even if you are a Star Wars fan but haven't played a Star Wars game for a while, you don't need to go back and play like tons of games for this. This is a standalone series with incredible storytelling, and it really embodies the Star Wars feel just through like the characters, the droids, everything within the game really embodies that sort of like Star Wars ideology. It's definitely well worth checking out, I think.
It's a very good addition to the Star Wars canon.
Yes.
It is indeed. Greasy money, baby.
Is it canon?
Yeah,
Greasy
100%
money.
canon. Anything after the cut-off going forward was canon, whether it be games, TV, or movies. So look forward to that one. Again, really keen to see what the price is and see if it gets its hooks into me again. It may be one for the new year, once all the Christmas activities die down and I get a Star Wars itch, because we don't get the Lego Star Wars game, I think, until the spring. And even then, we don't know if it's coming to Stadia. So give us those Stadia Lego games. Other series, though, speaking of long ongoing series, we got a bit of a surprise drop within the day one trailer, and that was for Hello Engineer. So as part of the Hello Neighbor franchise, I guess, the connected cinematic universe, whatever it may be.
If you want to call it that.
A new game announced takes place in a theme park, it seems, of all places, and you get together with your friends and essentially build things in kind of like a crafting manner, and then I guess you have to defeat the creep. I think it's Mr. Wilson is the creepy guy. It says scavenge, create, craft. This caught me off guard because for one, I thought I didn't have a clue what it was, and then secondly, I still don't really know what it is anyway after the fact. Richie, I'll throw it over you. First thoughts, takes.
Well,
on this?
I haven't played a Hello Neighbor game, but isn't there already another game announced to come out this year?
Several, yeah. So
it's like multiple titles in the same franchise coming out this year. It seems that's the big thing that took me completely by surprise.
It's worth mentioning this is also a first to Stadia as well, so this won't be available on any other platform. It's a timed exclusive to Google Stadia. A multiplayer machinery building construction sandbox game is that's interesting. That's interesting.
Sounds like Robot Wars all over again.
I know, yeah.
So,
but completely out of left field, this one. Like,
Yeah.
hello?
Was anyone asking for
Okay.
it? It's just so, yeah, because, like, Richie, back to what you said. So we're getting the Hide and Seek DLC, I think, later this year. So probably in the next few weeks. Then they announced Hello Neighbor 2 at the Xbox showcase in the summer. Not announced for Stadia. But now we're getting a first on Stadia game from the same team, which is Hello Engineer. Either way, personally, this game doesn't do anything for me from what the trailer showcased. I'm all for crafting games and team games and stuff, but again, having only played Hello Neighbor briefly, I found it a bit clunky. I understood the premise of it, but it didn't really do it for me. Actually, saying that, is there another Hello Dead by Daylight style game coming out as well? Or is that Hide and Seek maybe? Or is that Hello...
That's Hide and Seek.
Oh, right,
That's Hide
okay,
and Seek.
right, that's Hide and Seek. So that's not Hello Dead by Daylight or any crossover
No.
along them realms, right? Okay, so that one has me interested. If it is, like, you as a collective team work to get away from him in a similar manner to Dead by Daylight, crafting things in a theme park doesn't tickle my fancy just yet. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I sort of need to wait and see a little bit more about it because I'm not completely sold on it yet, but the idea is pretty cool, but it looks a little bit more like a puzzle solving game using building elements rather than like a building to defeat the baddie kind of thing. I don't know. I need to wait and see. I need a little bit more. It feels very early at the moment for this, but
I've just
It's on the radar.
curiosity decided to just look up Hello Neighbor's Metacritic scores just to kind of get a good judge, because I haven't played it, of where it might sit in terms of people's minds. And the PC score's 38, the Xbox One is 42, and the Nintendo Switch is 39, all out of 100.
Ooh.
So that did not land well, like the initial game. So it seems
more of a cult classic right now. I feel like that's
you
where
say that.
its angle is.
Yeah. But if you look at the Steam rating is currently 9 out of 10 out of 3,600 reviews. So,
right. Maybe
choose your audience.
The initial build for the reviews that have screwed it a bit.
Probably. It's one of these. I won't say it's a game as a service, but it's a game that's had like ongoing updates and development.
Yeah.
So.
But go check it out for yourself, because we got it as a pro game, right? So if you are a pro subscriber to Stadia, then go form your own impressions.
Is it one that's still available as a pro title on Stadia? Because some stick around for months.
Who knows anymore? Yeah, some hang around for it seems like eternity, and some come and go with like a brief update at the last day of the month saying, don't forget to claim your games before they're gone. But yeah, you can jump in day one now and claim, 22 games still?
Yeah.
So who knows? But we'll be getting Hello Engineer in 2021 sometime, so they've got a lot of wiggle room to play with there to assess how it is, but it will be dropping on Stadia. And then the final point of note for day one we got was the Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, dropped as a free demo, one of 3 demos we got, and we've all played it. This was probably, aside from the date for Jedi Fallen Order, which I didn't feel like was that big of a news story, this was probably the biggest thing from day one of the 3 things we've seen. We've played it. Me and Tom jumped in immediately after the day one Good Stuff live stream that we did. And I had a great time with it. I played a little bit more last night while the demo is available. Richie, have you chomped away a little bit?
Yeah, I played now Patreon Games Night. This is what we started with. I haven't won yet. I've come close a couple of times.
Came third and came second, didn't you, mate?
Yeah. My first game was absolute garbage. I think I came last. I died that quickly. But Chris, I'm with you. It has to be D-pad.
I was just going to ask that. I was just going to say, yeah. Tom, are you still an analog guy with this?
I'm still an analog guy. I don't know why. I just feel like I have more control with an analog stick than an old school D-pad.
I found it just like really quite. You have to time your inputs quite well, otherwise you just hit a wall. So I found the D-pad was a bit snappier.
Yeah,
and the D-pad in Stadia is something we don't talk about a lot, but the D-pad and that controller is actually really good.
It's got that satisfying click to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Click, get it.
Nice and precise.
But yeah, I was similar to you, Richie. I immediately default to the analog because that's what my muscle memory is kind of trained as. And then as soon as I hit a corner and I didn't move sharply enough or snappy, like the response didn't seem snappy enough, switch to D-pad. And then I think for a game that is very much based on north, south, east, and west, it lines itself perfectly with it. But again, Tom's proven. Tom's took that crown once or twice. So it can be done with both analog and controller. And me and Tom theorised on the stream, Richie, with Stadia having tandem mode, it would be really interesting to see if you could just hook up an old Atari joystick in some way, shape or form via tandem mode and play with that, because it would lend itself.
There might be a solution for that, like via the Xbox adaptive controller.
Yeah, we said that as well. So there's space for that. But so I think that was day one in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And couple of things announced, couple of things for Stadia. I think we probably cover this across the good stuff, the coverage we did for the 3 days. But for day one, I think this is where we were all caught off by surprise in it being just a 5-minute or so video and not an actual presentation. Almost, it was just it felt like it was over before it even really started. And when we look back at it, we thought, right, we got a date for a game we've knew about for a long time, a year-old game. We got a new game announced that's coming next year. That by Metacritic apparently isn't even going to be worth it potentially. And then we got a demo which we now get for a week, which, albeit a great demo, I think one of the things we should touch on and talk about is they also dropped the demo for the other games. We found out straight after the fact, thanks to articles like The Verge and 9 to 5 Google, that we were getting 3 sequential demos every single day, but they would last for 1 week. So at the time of listening to this podcast, you've probably got a matter of hours or maybe 1 day to get in and play this Pac-Man demo before it's gone. How do we feel about
some point on Tuesday it'll be gone?
Yeah, so how do we feel about timed demos for this? Because I think we've shouted its praises on. I have on Twitter saying like these demos are great for getting people in the door and testing Stadia out. It's a really great way to showcase how accessible and easy it is to play. But then taking them away after a week seems like a bad move.
I can see both sides, because with it being you only get it for a week, everyone's going to jump in straight away because there isn't much time to not. Mm-hmm. So it's not like how many games have you had where it's like, oh, there's a demo, I'll give that a look at, and then a couple of weeks later you still haven't, because other things are on the way. With it being like, I made sure I've played all 3 games this week, found time to do it because I wanted to be able to talk about them.
Yeah.
The
main reason I asked,
the other side is 1 week isn't much time to give people a chance.
Yeah, well, that's the main reason I asked, because Ashley wrote in, one of our patrons, just like you can, at patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, and she says, do you think the demos being only available for a short time is silly? Between adult work and other things, I probably won't get around to trying them all. Yeah. And feasibly, like, I feel like time works so funny at this moment, especially with the way the world is right now. And it's weird that we're recording this on a Sunday, and in 2 days' time, I can't play Pac-Man again. And I feel like it was only mere moments ago, me and you, Tom, jumped in and had our first game with it, and it's already going to be stripped away. And again, that's you and me. What about all those people out there who have had to go to work, they've got family commitments, and they saw this advert going, oh, play Pac-Man on Stadia. And some of them, I guarantee you, are going to go on Wednesday to try it out because it's their first free slot. And it's not going to be there. There's going to be no mention of it being a thing. It's just not on the store. And they're going to put it on Facebook.
Very true.
They're going to go to Twitter and go, hey, where's the Pac-Man game gone? And they're going to get some, Twitter response that'll say, keep locked to our social feeds for more news.
If you think about it, we have a couple of 100 people every single week who listen to our show on podcast services.
Mm-hmm.
That might be their only source of Stadia news. We might be how they get it. So if they get it off us, this is the first time they might even know it's there.
Yeah.
So
if you're listening to this now on the Monday, you've got 24 hours.
Well, if this goes live on the Monday, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, Pac-Man's gone.
Mm-hmm. So we might as well address it at this point, being as we've said that we know that the announcements for the demos dropped on the very first day of the event. So the very first demo we got was Pac-Man Megatunnel Battle Royale. Megatunnel Battle, no Royale, but it might. It
practically is, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a battle royale.
The second demo is an RTS. Well, it's sort of like a turn-based strategy game, Humankind by Sega, and the third one was the Immortals Phoenix Rising demo. So I could sort of see a 7-day demo being there for a single-player experience, like Immortals Phoenix Rising. Like, there's only so much you can do in that game. Whereas something like Pac-Man, something like Humankind, there's a lot of flexibility to the way that you approach it. Yeah. I think that the 7-day, from the point that the demo releases, is not maybe the best way of doing it, for the reason that Ashley wrote in and said, people work, people don't have the time sometimes. Yeah. Some people work really long shifts, especially under current circumstances. So there's 2 different ways you could probably do the demos here. They've got either the live demo times, you've got 7 days from this point until this point. However, you could do like an active time sort of approach where you basically say, right, here's the demo. As soon as you access it from the point that you've got it, you've got 7 days from that point. You've got like however many hours that converts into from that point to spend in that game as you have, like however you want to spend it.
Well, the thing with like Immortals Phoenix Rising, I reckon there's maybe about at most 3 to 4 hours of content in there if you go through every single nook and cranny. It's not a massive thing. I don't know why you couldn't just leave that on there.
Yeah, this is why it goes back to like, does it have to leave? Like, what's it? It's almost like Nintendo with the Nintendo Vault approach they're taking at the moment, where all those Mario 35th anniversary games are all going to be gone come the 31st of March next year. Why? They're on a digital storefront. It doesn't hurt anyone to just leave them there.
The difference with Pac-Man and probably more so Humankind is, well, Pac-Man's a demo, but it's a live service game. So the devs will have to keep the servers up and running. So putting the time on that kind of makes sense. I think a week's maybe a bit too short. At least 2 weeks, probably, I would say. To give
it depends on what they have
time
to do in the meantime before the game releases, doesn't it?
Yeah. Humankind it's not a demo, it's a beta. It's an open dev beta. That's how they're describing it.
True.
So that, for me, that's there as a fact-finding mission for the developers, mainly. So I think having that for longer probably makes a bit more sense, because you could potentially live patch that game a couple of times over the course of a month or two.
Yeah. So you're saying that the Humankind thing should, rather than being advertised as a demo, or a beta, almost could be an early access, perhaps?
Well, I'm okay.
Isn't that what they're doing with Baldur's Gate?
I'm absolutely okay with it being called a beta, because it's free to play, and it's a lot more where Baldur's Gate is limited to like one act. You kind of just you've got one option to just start a game. You don't get to pick any of your races or anything like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that game, that's a time sink. Like,
we found that out very quickly. But yeah, the Humankind one is one, I think, disappointingly enough for me. I really started to get into it, and funnily enough, of all the 3 demos, I have had an itch from this one to go back to it. But the reality is, come Wednesday, if I don't get around to it by then, it's gone. And that's a shame.
Since we're talking about Humankind, I've had a weird glitch playing that game. I don't understand it, but basically the video feed would just freeze. The game was still running. If I closed my browser window and reopened it, it was fine, but it basically made the game a little bit unplayable. I haven't got a clue as to why. So then I stopped and played Civ for a bit.
Add it to the feedback form, because they have announced that's there. But let's move on to day 2, because we're talking about these points now anyway. So day 2, the current video up on the Stadia YouTube channel is currently at 16k views. So there's a significant drop off for day 2, just based on viewership. Which is always expected, usually across a multiple day event. I think maybe a lot of people were soured on how short the video was for the first day, and they've just not bothered to return for day 2. But again, everyone consumes stuff differently. But a significant drop off there, day 2, 16k. And remember, these are four more days detached from the event as well. So it's a bit weird that we haven't seen a bigger increase over a 4-day period. But then, if this is how they want to drop them on their YouTube channel, that's their marketing preference. But we kick-started the second day with a refreshed look at Outcasters. Didn't really show us any more about that other than a few more videos and a cute little introduction with the splash damage logo screen. No news on a date. Any more features really? Seemed a bit irrelevant to be in there personally, but your take on Outcasters look?
I actually think there's a lot more to Outcasters than it meets the eye, really. I think it looks on the surface like a little fun, silly, walking around shooting kind of game, but with the fact that you can control your shots as well as controlling your characters, I imagine it's almost like a twin-stick shooter a little bit, but with battle royale elements. You're very much going to have to be very responsive to knowing what the other 3 people within an arena are doing at any one time. I think there could be quite a lot of fun with this game, but again, this is the kind of game that I feel like we could possibly have done with the demo of. Like, I feel like this is another one that we could have possibly enjoyed a demo of at this point, because it's going to be a first party game for Stadia. It's going to be completely exclusive to the platform. So that right there is one of the titles that I feel like really could have gotten some people talking.
I agree, especially because I think a lot of the stuff they showcase, it looks very similar. It's all well and good, I think, showing the different maps and the different characters, but from what we've seen, I feel like since the second I saw eyes on it, it's just been someone shoots a little glowy orb that bounces off a wall to somebody else.
Yeah, the overarching gameplay is very much the same no matter what arena you're in.
I think a demo would have been great for people to get hands on and go, oh, this is what you... So this is because again, it's hard for them few screenshots of just things bouncing around and characters jumping all over the place. It's hard to really get a grasp on what is actually there as a game. Richie?
Or what the fun is for the game.
Yeah.
I'm slightly worried about Outcasters because this is one of them games that's going to live or die based on the user base, and this is one of the biggest problems I see in like social media feeds of Stadia at the moment. People are always complaining about matchmaking. There's literally just not enough people on the platform.
Yeah.
So I am slightly worried with it being a first party exclusive. This is where you're going to hit problems where other things like Destiny and stuff can be fixed by switching on cross platform play. Mm-hmm. You can't do that with this.
No, the problem there is also that as we start to get more and more titles, we've said before on the podcast, that as we start to get more and more titles, that user base as well becomes spread far too thin over so many games. Like some games are already struggling with it. Look at PUBG with the mouse and keyboard being removed.
My prediction is this is going to do really well out the gate because there's a lot of hype around it in the community. There's a lot of people very excited by this game. I don't know if it's going to have the legs though.
But I feel like that hype as well is, sorry to like blow our own trumpet kind of thing, but I feel like a lot of the hype is coming from the content creators.
And we move on quickly.
Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about it, and this is by no means negative towards Splash Damage in any way or the Outcasters team whatsoever. But I do very much sort of have this feeling that it's very much targeted towards content creators showcasing the game, but then how do you get the longevity out of it? Mm-hmm. How do you keep that interest?
See, I'm thinking like, as those content creators, we're probably going to showcase this on like one of our fairs or community streams. Then we'll probably move on. I would have thought that's tends to be how we go.
To get it hooked to me, certainly.
Absolutely.
But again, at the showcase, it was there. It was front and centre. Great to see that they're still chipping away. Again, Stadia probably need to showcase they've got a Stadia-only exclusive game coming to show that they are working on it. Would have liked to see a little bit more. Would have liked to maybe see a date for even just a demo or early access. Do we think it might drop as a pro game? Similar to how Xbox put all their exclusive games day and date with Game Pass?
I've been wondering about that. I've been wondering about, because it is sort of first party to Stadia, whether there might be some sort of behind the scenes arrangement that these first party games may just come available to pro.
Yeah,
because you know what? I'd like to see this as a pro game, but have like a store place where you can buy cosmetic items, and that's the business model for that game.
Locked behind pro, basically. You can get it for free on pro, or you can buy it outside of pro.
Yeah, because we are in a world where with Game Pass you get Forza, you get Gears of War, you get Halo day and date with your subscription.
Yeah.
On PlayStation, now the PS5 is launching with the PlayStation Plus collection, which bags you games like God of War, Days Gone, Bloodborne, Fallout 4. That's some heavy hitters there. It's already making me jealous. That's some heavy hitters there, and then you've got.
Here's the best games of the previous generation.
Yeah, and then
you get Destiny 2, you get.
So
Outcasters
should be there. Should be there as a minimum, you would think, but we'll see. Yeah. They then followed that up with another Stadia game, which was Orcs Must Die 3 is getting a exclusive new content pack coming out. It's called Drastic Steps. So from our friends over at Robot Entertainment, they've been working on this. It looks like the fallen hero from the main game is finally coming back to help out with some more orc damage. It looks like they're going to add new weapons, new characters, new enemies, more importantly, and new defense mechanisms. So everything that makes Orcs Must Die 3 such a good laugh to play. It seems like they're just tweaking it and adding new varieties and such into it as well.
And Max is back, baby.
Max is back. Richie, you and me have played plenty of this game. We've had a great time with it on stream with the community as well. Does this DLC entice you to jump back in?
Well, this is one of them games where if the UI was set up in Stadia, I could have like a favourites list. So the sort of game where I just might jump in casually for every now and again. This would be in that category because I really, really... this game was, I think, my most surprising game of this year, where I didn't expect it to be anything, to be honest, and then I found myself really enjoying it. But we should say as well,
they've briefly froze, as happens every week with Stadia podcasting, but they will be back imminently, and we'll have a little chuckle about it when it does, and everyone moves again, and Richie can finish his sentence, and we'll get back to that. Just like,
so where do they end up?
just start from scratch, literally. I had a little monologue I went off with myself, but we're all back now. Keep going.
All right. I think I was saying, like, if I could set a favourites list and say, this would be on there, because it's the sort of game that I'm not going to play excessively, but I am going to jump into kind of almost randomly, casually, a bit as a palate cleanser between bigger titles, probably.
Yeah.
It definitely should be up there on a favourite list, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
For certain.
Yeah. The sort of thing I would play for an evening, then move on again. But I think we were talking before, Chris, on the stream about this game would be perfect for Stream Connect.
Yeah.
And that's coming.
Yeah, they've added that in, which is great to see. Yeah. So it's great to see that they're not just leaving it there, they're working on it, they're adding more to it. But going from Killing Orcs, we switch over to a new game that was announced, which I think was probably the biggest surprise of the whole 3 days. For me personally, we're getting Ark Survival Evolved, which is, again, it's kind of another cult classic hit that's genuinely evolved. Every time I've seen it, I feel like they've added more to this game. But more importantly, in the community, I've seen a lot of people who have played this game on other platforms say it runs super bad and slow on console and even on their decent PC. So hopefully Stadia is going to alleviate that stress somewhat. When this game was announced, I don't think Richie, you or me had really... I've dabbled in it. I've done the whole... You start off on the beach, you punch trees, and you start kind of gathering your resources, start a fire, and then another caveman kills you, and you don't really get any further than that. Obviously, from this trailer, the game has progressed into a lot more. Tom, you weren't with us on the second day, so have you got any past history with Ark?
So I don't have any past history with Ark, but I have a lot of time put into these sort of like survival-esque games. So I'm actually really kind of excited that we're going to be getting it. I would not be surprised if this comes as part of a pro deal.
It is. It's a pro. It's going to be a pro game. Yeah.
Pro game, excellent, because that's what I would have expected from a title like this. Definitely one that I'll be jumping into and messing around with. I mean, it's got dinosaurs. Come on, it's got dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's kind of where I don't have a lot of experience playing like survival games. I think I was saying on the streams, like, this is one of the games that you occasionally encounter, but you have no real idea what the game's about or how it plays or anything. So if this just came to Stadia and was like 40 quid on the store, I'd probably just ignore it. The fact it's coming to the pro game is, I'm going to give it a go.
Mate, I'm going to put it into perspective for you. So playing through survival games like this before, I've also played a lot of Rust, which is another game we've touched on before. The devs over at Rust are also thinking about like looking at bringing it over to Stadia. But these are the kind of games where you can literally control the narrative of what you do. Like, they're really quite flexible in how you approach the game. Usually you create bases, work as a little group, and then you go and raid somebody else's bases, take all their stuff and bring it back. But you want to go and kidnap someone and put them in a cage for the night? Yeah, you can do that. You can take their character and go and imprison them for a little bit.
Why is that the first thing that came to your mind?
Because I've seen it happen. I've seen people literally raid, grab like the new players from the beach, load them into a cage and basically make them work for you to get you resources before you let them free. Like, you can make them your slave. I know it sounds so weird, but this is what you can do in a survival game. Like, the narrative is so down to what you want to do. It could be loads of fun. It could be loads of fun.
Basically, I'm guessing it's like a persistent world then that you just jump back into.
They usually reset on a sort of like timed basis. The worlds will reset on a timed basis.
I think these sort of games might have a good home in Stadia, actually, because with no like generational big shifts, it's always going to be there for you.
And in addition to that, these games are notorious for being hacked and having like, a lot of like people generating things into games that they shouldn't be. So with the protection of it being on Google's remote servers as opposed to actually local servers or servers that are hosted outside of the game, like the game developers' centers, then I think it's going to be a lot better protected from that sort of thing, like anti-cheat systems for first. No need.
I think it's going to survive, live or die in the community then, because you've already just said how people just grief new players.
Yep.
And that sucks. that generally sucks. If you do that out there, stop it. Let people enjoy the game.
It's part of the enjoyment.
Not the new players, and then the new players go away and the game gets shut down because no one's playing it anymore.
Well,
but then there's nothing better than being a new player on a beach with a rock and beating on someone who's got an AK-47, and you take that, and then you're the king of the jungle, baby.
That's how the human chain of survival works. Speaking of survival, moving on, the final thing we got from day 2 was the Humankind from Sega. Dropped from Amplitude Studios as well. Dropped in an open dev access beta kind of demo setup. Myself and Richie jumped in. We played about probably just short of 3 hours, 4 hours. Richie maybe. We've alluded to it briefly on this from your experience as well. The game is so in depth. It's very much Civilization. It needs massive improvement on the tutorial to start off with, because many people in our video over on YouTube and also on Facebook have basically said they have no clue what they're doing, and I'll hold my hand up and say I'm exactly in that boat with you. For the first hour, me and Richie basically guessed our way through what does what from our previous knowledge of Civ games and other kind of Age of Empires style games. We kind of pieced together what roadmap we wanted to do.
Chat was helping us a lot as well.
Yeah, chat was massively helpful in just figuring that out. But after about an hour or so of teething issues, we really started to get into it, Richie. We were growing our civilization. We branched out to towns. We'd broken relationships with nearby colonies. Tom, we named somewhere Tomsville after you, and we put in a Stonehenge water feature that was exclusive to your town. It was going to take about 50,000 turns to actually build, but we would have got there eventually. We killed some stags. We fought a bear. We did quite a lot of stuff actually, Richie. We did quite well.
The game seems to have a bit of a sense of more of a sense of humor than something like Civ as well, because I think one of the first things it asked us, like a world event sort of thing, is
it was a flood.
There's a new religion form. No, it's a religion, the chicken religion.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
Like,
it was that
happened to me in my own playthrough as well.
Yeah, that's just
that
about.
happened to me in my solo playthrough as well. So
work on the tutorial inevitably needs doing, but this game seems huge, which is what goes back to the demo being 7 days. I've had an itch to play this, but in and amongst work and other things, I've not had time, and now I'm thinking I've got until Wednesday to jump back into my save, and then come Wednesday I could be at that point maybe like nearly 10 hours deep into this game, and it's gonna go, which is like I get it's a demo, but then that may probably obviously it's tickled me now, so now I might get in and play the full game, whereas otherwise I probably would have glossed over this. But for me, it's great to see we've been asking for this for nearly a year now, more PC orientated games. This does not run on controller from what we've seen. Rich, I think you spoke with some people in the community.
Technically does. I haven't tried it, but I'm hearing mixed results about how it plays.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to get a good experience playing this sort of game on controller, to be honest.
No.
This is very much a game that is centered around playing with mouse and keyboard. And I've got a feeling that the only reason there's even control support is because I think Google's require that to launch on the platform.
Certainly. From what I've read, I feel like the controller support, it jumps from icon to icon individually. You don't have a cursor necessarily.
But this is one of them games where it shows how Stadia can position itself in that niche that straddles between console and PC gaming.
100%.
I'm all for that. That's one of the things I was always interested in Stadia doing.
Exactly. So another exciting one, another demo that dropped on day 2 immediately as the video went live, and then moving on to the final day number 3, a little drop in viewership again, down to 14,000 views. So again, to give that bit of context, day 1 34k, day 2 16k, day 3 14k. So we are seeing a distinct decline in the viewership for day 3. Personally, day 3 is probably my worst day of the lot. I think day 2 was probably the best, in all honesty, for me. We got some quick announcements. We got Young Souls kicking things off to start with, which is like a kind of 2D animated style game. I think it's 2-player, I believe.
All one player.
All one player, yeah. This didn't really do much for me at all. Tom, I think this was probably more... I'll throw this over to you because this seemed like more in your wheelhouse of style. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely the kind of game that I'm interested in. It's sort of like a narrative-driven RPG stroke beat 'em up sort of title. If you imagine games trying to think off the top of my head, I think I first said that it reminded me a little bit of almost like a Castle Crashers-esque side-scrolling, sort of Streets of Rage-esque, but with RPG built-in like leveling systems, gear, and so on as well. This is probably a game that I found was a bit of a sleeper amongst all of the games that have been announced as far as these 3 days go. This is probably the game that I'm most excited for, but a lot of people are sort of just like pushing it on the wayside because it either doesn't stand out to them or it's just sort of like being washed away amongst the rest of the titles. But, you know, the art looks incredible. The idea of the story narrative behind it as well is fantastic. I really like the sort of setting they're putting the game in. It's expected to have over 70 different dungeons within the game as well, so a lot of content to play through. And it's meant to be very much that sort of like arcade feel game as well. So you can switch between either playing as both of the characters in almost like a turn-based type game, or you could play with 2 people, each controlling an individual character. I'm liking the look of it. I'm
with you there, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's you two can play it together with it being a 2-player one, and it's coming to Stadia first as well. So it's another get coming over early 2021. So we'll see that one. That was very quickly followed up with Phoenix Point. We said it was almost like an XCOM style kill alien Starship Troopers kind of game. But this caught us a bit off guard with the title, because I think, Richie, both you and me missed the title in the video.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of popped up as almost like a subtitle.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the start of the trailer is like when you're almost opening with like random words that kind of set the scene sort of thing, and you expect to see the proper title at the end. Yeah. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, so it's kind of like isometric top-down almost view. It seems to be turn-based, the way the movement phases seem to be happening, and then it's got that original Mass Effect lock-on.
Occasionally, it does seem to go into third person over the shoulder.
I think
looking at the trailer.
Yeah. So I think it's turn-based maybe for your movements to get into combat, and then when the fight starts, it switches into that Mass Effect kind of lock onto your targets. Almost like Fallout with the VAT system. Yeah.
I think the best thing to sort of liken it to is the likes of XCOM and XCOM 2, which were, you know, very successful games right there. It's going to be very much a turn-based sort of roguelike-esque element as well. So like the characters who join your party can die permanently within the game as well. So if you've got your little team of people you've recruited, they've got their stats, they've got their gear and so on, they've got their specialities with their skills. If they die, they are gone. You can't resurrect them in the middle of combat. If they're dead, they're dead. Like it's as akin to real life as it's gonna be, basically. However, I do believe that the game itself is randomized too. The level generation and so on is all randomized as well. So I think that's got a pretty good element to it, because that means that the game has got quite a bit of longevity to it. But again, it's another game I'm really excited for. Probably less so than Young Souls, but it's definitely one that I'd like to try out. XCOM also works on consoles as well, so hopefully the support should be there for controller support on Stadia as well.
Again, it's a different type of game, so as much as it maybe doesn't, from what I've seen of that quick video, it doesn't seem to be really in my wheelhouse of games that I prefer. It's got my intrigue, because who doesn't love shooting aliens and stuff, but I've never been a massive fan of like turn-based things. However, I do feel like I need to see a bit more, but it's interesting to see a different style of game coming to Stadia, because we want all bases covered with the variety and mix of games that we've got coming. And then finally, back to the final announcement of the day, which we knew was coming, because they announced it day one, which was, again, back to talk about pulling the rug out from under your own event, right? We've got 3 great demos, but we're going to drop them in these videos every single day, but here's all 3
that applies more to Humankind, to be honest, because we already knew about this next game, Humankind. We had no idea it was coming until the beta was revealed a day before we got the trailer.
Yeah, that's true. But we got Immortals, Phoenix Rising. We knew Phil Harrison showed up at the Ubisoft Forward event and talked the talk, walked the walk, and said we're going to get an exclusive demo coming first to Stadia. Actually, is it first to Stadia or is it only to Stadia?
The demo is exclusive to Stadia. You cannot play this demo anywhere else.
Exactly. So that was amazing. We played it, all 3 of us. We jumped in and we figured out the puzzles. We had Zeus and Prometheus have their witty banter back and forward. Who did I say I confirmed? I think, was it Zeus is played by I'll put it in our chat group. Who was it?
You put Prometheus is played by the guy who voices Leonidas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But I think Zeus was still up for debate.
Yeah, we can. IMDb's not so great with games,
but I think
as it is.
I think we pretty much agreed that it is Socrates from Assassin's Creed
with his
Odyssey
nipple
well.
out. Yeah, it seemed to be. Yeah. He doesn't. Oh, does he have his nipple out in this one as well? I think he does.
Yeah, I mean, he has his
they're gods, right?
Out,
they just wear their wraps and.
If you can have cartoon nips.
Cartoon nips. In terms of the game itself, we finished it in about, I'd probably say, an hour and a half as far as the demo went. We pretty much mainlined the puzzle. We didn't do that much exploration because we did it with the community in the chat. Have either of you two played this in your own time?
Yep.
Yes.
Interesting. Did you do anything different? Did you do a bit more exploring? Did you fight the bear on the beach, more importantly?
I did. I fought the bear on the beach.
Did you? I've not done that. I maybe need to go back and do what you said before and maybe spend a little bit longer just almost 100%ing the demo.
I kind of did the opposite to what we did in the stream, where we mainlined it on the stream. I went everywhere else I possibly could find first. And I found some bits of ambrosia, which I don't know what to do.
It's like a dessert, that isn't it? Ambrosia.
It's the nectar of the gods.
I think it's to do with like upgrades and stuff.
Right. So it's not babies. It's not babies.
I have no idea if it'll carry over or anything, but I found some.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So wrapping it all up then, in terms of all the three demos, obviously Gods and Monsters. I'm going to do that so many times. Immortals: Phoenix Rising was the biggest of the demos, like 100%. I don't think anyone can deny that. It's a AAA game. It also came with the massive kind of asterisk that it's exclusive to Stadia, that nobody else. I saw people bitching and moaning on social media about it, going, why would you lock this behind a platform nobody uses? It's like, it's not locked behind anything. It's literally on the internet.
Free to play.
Yeah, free to click to play. You don't even need bank details to subscribe to try this game out. And there was still people out there, and I saw blessed Stadia community people trying to push back and say, you only need this and this, and you can tell the people who've already wrote Stadia off are not going to give it the time of day. But what I did see, which was really great, was a lot of big influencers on YouTube got their hands on and they did play this. Disappointingly enough, they didn't seem to talk that much about how well it ran on Stadia. They did very much focus on the game demo. They love the game en masse. Everyone seems to think it's going to be great. But that would have been nice for them to talk.
It would be nice, considering the position Stadia is in, to hear them talk a bit more about Stadia. But the fact that they didn't suggests that it just played seamlessly.
Very true. Very true.
But I can see how a lot of people wouldn't even pick up on something like that.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like a lot of YouTube influencers, especially, probably didn't focus as much on how well it ran, how easy it was to set up. Which then, it's great the game's getting PR, the game's getting all this marketing, but everyone watching will just presume, oh, they got it early because they're a YouTube influencer. Nothing to do with no. Everyone right now watching can go try this game. I myself jumped into a few comment sections and posted the click to play link, saying if you like what you're seeing, generally, I'm not trying to big up Stadia, but if you want to try it, here's the link. I'm trying to do the Prometheus work out there and get that graph done. But in terms of the three demos, gentlemen, do you want to rank them really quickly? Tom, let's have your order, top to bottom.
Having not played Humankind yet, I can't really rank. I have to put that bottom because it's just the only one I haven't played. So it's got to be Immortals: Phoenix Rising top, Pac-Man, Humankind. But I know that we'd probably shift the last two around there. The one thing I will add before I pass this on very quickly though is if you do complete the Immortals: Phoenix Rising demo, you'd get an armor set, and you can only get that through playing the demo, which is only on Stadia. Get out there if you haven't tried it yet. Get on Stadia. Just get the demo, just get that armor set. It's only going to take an hour and a half of your time.
The armor set carries over to whatever version of the game you play as well.
Yes, it does. It's linked to your Ubisoft account.
Interesting. Richie, rankings, nice and quick.
For me, it's Immortals 1, Pac-Man 2, and Humankind 3. But in terms of how excited I am for something coming to the platform, I'd say Humankind is potentially top. Ooh. In terms of what that could mean for Stadia, having that bridge, because this is one of the games that's bridging the gap between PC and console.
It certainly is.
But, yeah.
Mine would go Immortals top because I've got such a fascination with Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Greek mythology, and the fact they're leaning more into the gods and monsters, funny enough, really does excite me, and the colour palette was amazing and I had a great time playing it. Second, Humankind. really, really did a lot for me. Once I started to get into it, it kind of re-energized my love for that style of game and that methodical building your civilization. And even though you have to wait your turns for stuff to grow and evolve, there is something really satisfying about just watching stuff tick up and your progress, and you can see you're building a cattle farm, you're researching copper work, you're doing mining and stuff, and like just seeing stuff evolve. It's that typical gamification thing that if I just wait 2 more turns, I'll have this, and then another 2, and I'll have this, and then if I do this and this, I'll have an army, and then I can. And it's that progressional. You're being rewarded every turn almost for doing something.
It's a sort of game where you're going to look at the clock and go, oh, it's about 10 o'clock, I'll think about wrapping up in like half an hour, and next thing you know, it's 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and all you've done is build 3 more buildings, and you've went back and forth over a bit of territory about 50,000 times. Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah. And then bottom of the pile, even though I had a great time playing it, it's Pac-Man, just because, like, again, nostalgia was amazing. We finally got a mascot on Stadia. A very recognisable mascot. I don't feel like there's many people in the world.
If Pac-Man becomes like Stadia's mascot, that's a bloody good get.
Well, exactly. But yeah, so I put Pac-Man at bottom. But all in all, 3 great demos, 3 really great ways to showcase a bit of variety on Stadia. But hopefully,
3 very different games.
Get people in the door with it as well, which is great.
Absolutely.
And what you alluded to there, Tom, about the Ubisoft armor set that you do get, that brings us on to our next story, which is Ubisoft came out and announced they are refining their Uplay system across their store and their online, and Ubisoft, what's the other one called? Is Uplay? Is that
Ubisoft
Points
Club.
And Club? That's it, the Club, Richie. Well done, yeah. They've
Well
got to
done,
unify
Ubisoft.
everything across all platforms. So PC, PS4, Xbox, Stadia, we're guessing they've not officially said, I don't think yet. But essentially, your progression is going to be kept in their cloud and then dragged down to whatever your platform of choice is. They may have stolen the Kinect name from Stadia, but I guess they do work in close tandem. So a Ubisoft Kinect is one network for all the players. And this can only mean good things for Stadia in terms of cross-progression and hopefully cross-platform play going forward, right?
Yeah,
Surely.
but for me, it just streamlines as Ubisoft's offerings. Like having multiple different services from a single publisher get things a bit murky, a bit confusing by going, oh, if you're playing a Ubisoft game, all you need to worry about is Ubisoft Connect and everything's there. Mm-hmm. I'm all about that.
Excellent, yeah. As a big Ubisoft player, this is just, it's more convenient for me. I'm one of those people who I do actually use the Ubisoft points to buy the games cheaper. I've said already, like Assassin's Creed, you can get the gold edition instead of paying £80 for it. Jump in there, use 200 of your Uplay points, which I've amassed like a good 1,000 or so by now. I can get it for £64 instead of 80. So that's a big saving in terms of that. And this is something that I think other platforms should reward you for. I think PlayStation do with the trophy achievements. If you get a platinum trophy for a game, why not give someone 10% off the next title in that franchise as a reward for finishing that game to completion?
I've said for even just little things that Sony have dabbled in, is got, if you platinum a game, like he's a new avatar that you can use. He's a new theme. Yeah. As a kind
it's
of
all about
thank you
gamification, really. Like, it's not just about giving people the trophies, because everybody likes to collect trophies and collect achievements. But if you can get something as a reward for doing it in the first place, it's more of an incentivized approach to almost sales in general, really.
I think it was God of War. You got like a set of like platinum colored avatars for getting the platinum trophy.
Yeah,
that was such a nice bonus for putting my time into that game.
Yeah, and Ubisoft have such a vast array of titles as well. They are one of the few publishers, I think, who could do this, and they do it fairly well in comparison to others. I mean, EA have dabbled with like Origins, and then EA, what was the new one that they rebranded and then it's gone now as well? They've got EA Play, which is their new one.
Yeah,
but that's more the streaming service.
It was Origin is what they're getting rid of, isn't it?
Was it EA Access?
Maybe, yeah. It's very convoluted. So starting October 29th, we're getting Ubisoft Connect. And for me, I'd love to see Stadia do something with their Google Play Store credits, because recently, if anyone is on Android, you may have noticed your Play Store has now got a reward system going in it. So we talk about gamification. If you update your Play Store app and you agree to the terms and conditions, you now get rewards for purchasing things on Stadia. So if you went in and, say, pre-ordered Cyberpunk for whatever, £50, I think that game's coming out, and you'll get 10%, I think, back in Play Store credits, which then in turn you can spend on Stadia games and DLC and stuff. So Google are doing it from their mobile division ends, so anything you spend using kind of Android, you just accrue credit points for it instead. And you go up levels and you're going to get achievements and stuff. So I feel like every element of my life is now gamified, which is perfectly fine for me because that's how I love it. Back to humankind, it's that slow interstitial improvement of gaining access and bettering yourself. But moving on to the next story, and speaking of adding things and getting more, Ubisoft also rolled out this week the Season Pass content drop for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Gentlemen, we are now less than a month away from the Norse Viking journey to the green shores of the United Kingdom. Or probably not the United Kingdom back then, just England and Scotland and that. They've announced massive expansion packs as per typical Ubisoft choice. They've announced the Legend of Beowulf, which is going to be an exclusive quest.
Fantastic.
Players will uncover the monstrous truth behind the Legend of Beowulf, available on launch day of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So you get that exclusive story launch day. They've announced Expansion 1, which is going to drop in spring 2021. So again, talking about roadmaps and time frames, Ubisoft do this really well. The Wrath of the Druids. We're all obviously being English. We obviously all know druids, and we regularly commute to Stonehenge for our prayers and wishes. This is
solstice. We're all the way down.
Yeah. This is going to feature. It's a new adventure. Players will journey to Ireland and unravel the mysteries of an ancient and mysterious druid cult, tracking and discovering their members, diving into Gaelic myths and folklores. They'll need to fight their way through haunted forests, dazzling landscapes, while gaining influence amongst the Gaelic kings. So we get a little adventure over to Ireland as well, which is a great bit of expansion. And then the second part is going to be the Siege of Paris, which is going to be dropping in summer 2021. And in the Siege of Paris, players will have the chance to relive the most ambitious battle in Viking history with key historical figures of war-torn Francia. During this key moment in history, players will infiltrate the fortified city of Paris and the River Seine under a prolonged siege, uncovering enemy secrets and form strategic alliances to safeguard their clan's future. So this game is going big across Europe so far. Yeah. I, for one, of all the DLC and expansion passes on most games, the Assassin's Creed ones, even though I'm a big fan of it anyway, the DLC for the last two titles has been fantastic. I've said many times, Origins with the Valley of the Kings DLC, seeing giant Anubis warriors and scorpions in a field of golden reeds and such was absolutely breathtaking to look at, but then fun to play. Followed up with Odyssey, which was the fate of Atlantis. We got to see hell. We met Hades, and we got to go to what's the land? What's it called in the middle between heaven and hell? Purgatory, whatever the Greek. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, amazing stuff. So I'm super hyped for this.
Put the effort into the DLC. It's not just we're just going to add a bit more. Yeah, it's like no, we're going to craft an entire new area full of new textures, a new storyline, all that sort of stuff. It's proper expansion stuff as you used to get. To be honest,
really is, and they lean in.
We all heard about how big the world is likely to be in Assassin's Creed Valhalla as well, but this is like really sort of stepping up to show us how big it's going to be. Yeah. If they're adding in Ireland and they're adding in Paris, France, essentially.
Are they adding an island? I don't know. Oh
yeah. Well, the first expansion, is based in Ireland, so yeah.
You'd hope they're going to go to Ireland.
I completely reading the Stadia Source article. I missed the word islands. It's like
yeah. So this looks like it's going to be their. I mean, we already know it's going to be their big new like sort of touchstone for Assassin's Creed. But like looking at the season 1 content that we're going to be getting there and the first couple of expansions, you know, this is going to be big. We're going to be in it for the long run, I think, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it looks like another 120 plus hours of game.
Oh, easily.
I'm hoping they do like with the previous expansions of other games. This is where they like to lean into the mystic and magic a little bit more. So with the first part being druids. Yeah. My guess is you're going to get hypnotized, put a spell on, something like that, and very much like Far Cry, you're going to be tripping balls the whole time, and you're going to be seeing giant Gaelic creatures and stuff of
diving into Gaelic myths and folklores.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get creepy Baba Yaga in the forest kind of stuff coming out after you. But yeah, it's great, and I'm very keen to see in the Siege of Paris how much. I'd love to know how much from Assassin's Creed Unity they use. We touched on it last week with rebuilding Notre Dame. They used the Assassin's Creed Unity 3D scans of the cathedral to help rebuild it in real life. I'd love to see how much of this is assets from Unity that have been pulled over for the Siege of Paris, because
The truth is, like, if you think about the time in history, France, it'll still be very much like the medieval sort of ages. It's the Franks. It's not, it's not modern France. So we may see some glimpses of like the original structure of Notre Dame and so on. But
I didn't even think of the time frame. Yeah, I just presume it's always been there.
Oh no! It won't be like
a bunch of French people found this cathedral and built the city around it.
It might just be a small church.
It transcends time.
It may do. It might just be there. We never know. But again, great to see a roadmap, and I think it goes back to the message that a future clear vision of what's coming is so beneficial for gamers, and in terms of buying people into the DLC and the season pass. If you know it's coming, it's a great thing to get in. It shows that you don't have to buy the game and then get rid of it straight away, because there is quality content coming, and I think a lot of people could learn from this Ubisoft model. EA, because I think a lot of them do it really, really well. Speaking of other DLC as well, aside from Ubisoft, Doom Eternal dropped, which I think was the news that was kind of washed away with the week. We got the good stuff dropping on Tuesday, along with the Ancient Ones Part 1 for Doom Eternal. So anyone out there who's played that game, I'm hearing really good things from it as well. It looks just like more Doom to me personally. But dropped at $19.99, I think the price is. So fill your boots if you're a Doom fan and you love killing demons and such. More first-person shooter action dropping there as well. I know neither of us have got this game, right? I'm right in thinking that.
I've still got Doom Eternal. I haven't picked up
it.
Ancient Ones, but we'll see. Again, it's not on my list at the moment, but hey, there are people out there who do sing its praises.
So many
things
to play.
I refunded it because when I bought it, it just didn't vibe with me at the time, so I decided to refund it and maybe jump into it another time.
Another time. Yeah. Speaking of time, WatchDogs Legion also got an update drop this week about their rollout time. So they came out, Ubisoft again, giving clear roadmaps. They want to get ahead of the curve. WatchDogs Legion has its time zone. So as the sun rotates around the mighty flat Earth, I'm joking. No, it's round, obviously.
That's wondering where you're going.
Yeah, that's it. Right. I was thinking I'll make a joke, but then I thought, no, everyone will think I genuinely believe it's flat now if I say that.
Everyone knows it's a pyramid shape.
It's a pyramid, yeah. It's a pyramid head shape.
The mighty cone.
So they've basically just came out and give us the roadmap for it. Stadia time, I think it's a weird one for Stadia. We're looking to get it Europe 12:01. So 1 minute.
Yeah, we get
midnight.
it literally right after midnight. Same in line with all other platforms. There's no delay on Stadia's release.
It's 12:01 CET.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah, which is Central European time. So I believe now the clocks have moved back an hour.
I'd have to check to see if the clock's in Central Europe and in the UK.
I'd have to check.
That's right.
The point is, long story short, we're getting it at the same time as other platforms. It's not going to be like an 8 hour later sort of thing, which we've seen before historically.
Yeah, no 5 p.m. wait.
It is listed there. I mean, it happened with PGA 2K21. It messed up. We knew that the launch was going to be coming at this sort of time, but it didn't happen. Hopefully not the case with an Ubisoft game.
Hopefully, yeah.
I wonder if Ubisoft have looked at that sort of like backlash and going, you know what, we're just going to put it out there. This is when it's coming. Nice and clear.
Yeah. But it should do.
I mean, it shouldn't be any different, right? This should be the norm. Coming out 1 minute past midnight should be the norm. So it's great to see. I feel really bad about Watch Dogs because I've sang the franchise's praise for so long, but it's coming out at such a bad time, and unfortunately there are other titles, and I don't know about you two, but I want to play this, but it's not on my... Financially and time, it's not on my side when it comes to playing this. Again, I've said before, I've got a PS5 on the way, I've got Cyberpunk dropping, I've got Valhalla on my doorstep, and there's hundreds and hundreds of hours across those games alone, let alone this.
But while that's true for the three of us, there are people in the community who do want to play Legion. So great the fact that we're getting it day one. It just doesn't work out for the timing for the three of us.
Yeah, for me, it looks... I'm with you. It looks like a really good game, but unfortunately, Cyberpunk, Immortals Phoenix Rise, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, all within the same sort of time frame before the end of the year.
It just goes back.
I just don't have the time to play this. Yeah. It's that simple.
This would have been great in March when it was originally scheduled to come out.
This would have been even great in maybe October.
You know why
if this was launched at the start of this month.
They delayed it because they needed to get Stormzy's motion capture.
That's it.
That's what it
the
was.
True reason. They probably
That's what
wanted
it
to see
was,
how
yeah.
Brexit rolled out as well, because they had like a jab at it with it being post Brexit.
I mean, it hasn't really gone anywhere since.
That's true.
Well, we're still falling off the cliff.
Still, yeah, we'll
Because no one's paying attention anymore.
We're just
with one
suspended in
hand.
lockdown because of COVID, so it's still
We're
happening.
falling off the cliff, but trying to keep away from everyone else who's falling off the cliff.
Yeah, and we wanted to say a quick thank you there. We want to say a quick shout out to our friends over at Croteam as well, who recently brought us the Serious Sam 4 game to Stadia. They've merged with Devolver Digital, who are behind the games like Hotline Miami. We've recently seen come to Stadia as well. They do great stuff, Devolver Digital, for getting those very niche style titles. They had a fantastic press release come out where it was more, they spoke about their business deal as though it was a relationship, and they said they've been dating for a while, but now they're officially married. So they are, I believe they're still running them as like independent studios. They're just part of the same kind of house, and they're going to help make decisions back and forth in future games.
I wonder who proposed.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
I don't know, but if the sales from Serious Sam 4 are good on Stadia, then hopefully we might see some more Devolver games, because I mean Devolver have publishing rights to things like Fall Guys, so
exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, leads a good way.
say no more, basically.
Yeah,
And Devolver always want that something like E3. They always have a solid presence there.
Yeah, I think they're just quirky. They've got that kind of like little bit of the market similar to their Fall Guys Twitter account, where it's just funny.
They're on it.
It makes you laugh. Yeah. Even the press article they released about this kind of arrangement, they even ended it by saying both companies are thrilled to share this news and hope you're excited about the future together as we are. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, buy Serious Sam 4 on Steam or Stadia. It's got a chainsaw rocket launcher.
Yeah.
There's something in there about saying like, Croteam is still going to be free to do whatever they want. Devolver's still going to throw bad ideas at them, which Croteam are going to ignore.
Yeah, it's little quirky things like that. It's like that's the type of crack and banter that you have with your friends, and I do appreciate it. I do appreciate
That's
it.
like a little quirky way of putting it. That kind of gets you to understand the relationship between them. It's like, yeah, we're still going to work together, but Croteam is still going to be in charge of their own titles.
Yeah, definitely. But you love to see that bit of back and forth between companies and businesses. It doesn't always have to be so serious, like the Joker.
Unless you're Sam.
Unless you're Sam, and yeah, he takes everything seriously. Even though, funny enough, his character genuinely doesn't. He's like the most carefree badass in the world, similar to Duke Nukem. Final points of reference we'll talk about on this week's show is we got some Premier Edition sales among some of the game sales, so go check that out if you are on the fence about treating yourself to another controller. Like Tom, I know we have a chat in our personal group. Are you going to buy the black one?
I cannot say on the podcast for fear of being held responsible for my finances. However, shout out to Ashley, who finally committed to her Wasabi controller last night. Finally.
It didn't take a lot of pushing.
Didn't take a lot of pushing whatsoever.
Ashley's been going on about the Wasabi controller since it was announced.
Actually, she was annoyed it didn't come with the Premier Edition to start off with.
We had that discussion with our patrons last night, but now is the best time if you are looking at getting some Stadia tech. You want to get that Chromecast, you want to get that controller, get into the Google store right now because it's a nice price. It is a nice price right now.
Tempting,
nice price.
tempting. I'm waiting for something new. I actually thought this Good Stuff event was going to have more detail. Like, we've not really, again, in the hour and 20 minutes we've been going for, we also haven't really touched on like what we really missed out on seeing, so we'll save that for another time. But in terms of that, there's Premier Edition sales, there's game sales, and there's also a new Refer a Friend scheme which just started off as well. So if you go into the little envelope on your Stadia app, you can refer a friend, and you and them both benefit from a free month of Pro, if I'm not mistaken.
So whoever accepts your Refer a Friend email will get 2 free months of Stadia Pro. Not 1, but 2.
Yeah, they get the standard 1 month you get when you subscribe.
Yes,
anyway,
plus an
1.
additional month. But should they continue with their subscription, then for each friend that you refer, you will gain 1 free month yourself.
So you can stack them essentially.
So you can stack them. So get sending them out now.
Wow. So the more people you get,
I'm gonna throw out my Stadia 4-play challenge again. I think right here. Get yourself and get 3 friends. Get them in. Get yourself some free months, and show me those screenshots. #Stadia 4-play.
Stadia 4-player, lovely. Speaking of liking and subscribing as well, thank you for hanging by with us for the Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode number 57. Don't forget, if you want to keep in the loop with everything, give us a like and a subscribe down below as well. So not only are you kept in the loop with all of our pro dealings and talkings, but the Sounds of Stadia podcast, our Let's Plays, and all the other stuff that we do here at Sounds of Stadia. Remember, if you want to write into the show, be a closer part of our community, or just help support the channel, you can also head over to patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia from as little as $1 or 78 pence or £1.20, depending on what the hell VAT is doing at the moment. We'll figure it out. Head over there and check that out. We do put exclusive content there, like our post show, which we're just going to record. And this week we're going to be talking about scary games, gentlemen. Our top scary games of all time, and what scares the shit out of us when we play games. And speaking of being scared the shit out of, the last point of call for the day is our Sounds of Stadia Hallow stream that is coming next Saturday, the 31st of October, on All Hallows Eve itself. We're going to be playing things like Little Nightmares, Dead by Daylight, and a couple of other things with you, the lovely community out there. So thank you for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you over there for that. Funnily enough, the Saturday actually kickstarts with Monster Boy, which is perfectly fitting for Halloween.
Yes.
Even though I've now left the Haunted Manor and the undead people and everything scary, we're now back in the lovely colourful world, but it still starts with Monster, and it is a cursed kingdom, so that fits in perfectly well. So join us next week for that. Keep it locked to the channel. Keep your eyes out for the post show as well, dropping on Friday, and follow us over on all those lovely Twitter feeds, because it's never ending, it never stops. But thank you for stopping by. Once again, I've been Chris, the creative director at Sounds of Stadia.
I've been Tom, also listed as creative director at Sounds of Stadia.
I've been Richie, the final creative director at Sounds of Stadia.
And making that joke makes me realise we never actually spoke about that tweet.
Yeah.
It's probably best left
It's
that
probably
way.
best left that way. So apologies to anyone who's getting to the end of 1 hour 20 and thinking, the bastards didn't even talk about what they put at the top of the show. You've been had. We've got you. Big apologies for that. Really quick take then, gentlemen. He said something stupid. He's probably going to pay for it in some way, shape or form. It probably will impact all the good work that was done by the good stuff this month, but that's the internet and that's Twitter for you.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically
yeah. Brilliant. Right, we've been Sounds of Stadia, everyone. You have a great week. Take care, play games. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.